What's going on, YouTube nights? Welcome to Lords of the Long Box, and dare I say, happy new comic book day to you. We got a really cool long-term spec list from a man, Mikey Sutton, so let's kick it off, boys and girls.
Shake and bake and pull it back.
Oh my God.
In the great hall of the Justice League, there are assembled the world's three greatest heroes, created from the cosmic legends of the universe. Their mission, to fight injustice, to right that which is wrong, and to serve all mankind.
Now that's a name I've not heard. Laugh it up, buzz.
In this, you shall know that the Lord is upright.
Shake and bake and pull it back.
In this, you shall know that the Lord is upright. In this, you shall know that the Lord is upright.
Go on and get some, boys. Heck, here's the deal. I'm the best there is.
In this, you shall know that the Lord is upright.
What's in the box?
Like a spider monkey.
Yo, welcome to the hottest show on the planet, because I am sitting in 97-degree heat. I got my AC on, my ceiling fan on. It is boiling hot. Speaking of boiling hot, what's up to Otto the Old? Happy belated birthday.
Belated birthday. That's right. Otto's been going for a long time. You know, hitting that double nickel's pretty tough, but your boy's here ready to go. I can't wait to spend it with you guys. Let's talk comics.
Double nickels. He's 55 years old, guys. Wow, that is amazing. Also on the panel, Manimal, say what's up.
What's going on, everyone? Like Tim said in the opening, happy new comic book day. Can't say how happy I am to have new comics back on. We're about 3 weeks deep, and it's still going to be fucked up for a while, unfortunately.
Yeah, did everybody get this? I'm pretty sure everybody got this right.
I did
Joker
not.
80th anniversary. Did you
Oh,
get
yeah.
this?
Yeah. I ended up getting the
Alexis.
whole all 10 covers, man.
Yeah.
I got the Delato. The Finch one was pretty cool too.
Finch
the-
was good. I
Yeah,
liked
the Matina Joker Fish was pretty cool too.
which one? God, there was another one that I really liked. The Bermejo one was dope.
Yeah, there was a ton of them. Once I saw what the cover price was, I go, whoa, I don't know if I just get like 10, that's like $100 right there, man. $9.99
Yeah.
cover price. I was like, man, but I guess you get your bang for your buck. It's a pretty thick book, as the kids like to say.
I lucked out, man, because my shop's pretty cool, so they give me like 50% off on all of them. But
Nice.
some good stories, man. I mean, there was the Snyder story, and then the Punchline origin story was pretty awesome too.
So all the speculation is wrong about Punchline. So there you go. It's a brand new character. So I'm glad they did that. So we didn't have to retcon
Yeah.
and go through and look for mime. Shout out to everybody in the live chat. Cad, Chad, Grow, Tailgating all up in there. Brian Criswell, Victoria Pagic. I say that right? Pagak. All right. I tried. Sith Lordly, Matt Forge, Johnny Dakota, The Butcher, Nick Arcia, Universe X. Welcome aboard, Mr. Unknown Comics Guy, Manuel Diaz, and the list goes on and on. David the Cave, what up to? Shout out to 3 Men in the Basement, Johnny Dakota, Roger Levesque, or Levesque, if you're Montreal Canadian, and everybody, Sassy Pants. The list goes on and on. There's about 71 of you watching. That's why we play a 2-minute intro, so you guys can all get in here and congregate. And while you're congregating, I just want to give a shout out to the sponsors of this here fine program. Shout out to our men, our friends at KRS Comics. Go to KRScomics.com. Use discount code of LOTLB to get 15% off any KRS Comics exclusives. I just got mine in the mail today.
Ooh, look
They're
at those.
gorgeous. I got these are brand new, but I got the Natalie Sanders magazine one. I got the Hulk homage one with Venom. And I got that Hellions #1. So they are finally starting to ship, boys and girls. Also, the show is sponsored by, so make sure you hit up KRS Comics, man. So they're right now, they got a lot of cool stuff. So use the discount code of LOTLB to get 15% off any KRS Comics exclusives. Also, our friends at Rocket Comics. Make sure you tell them the Lord sent you. Get 20% off your first pressing order, be it 1 book or 20 books or 100 books, and then you get 10% after that. They do a great job with pressing, submitting, and they're also doing getting signatures for you at upcoming signings. So you got that to look forward to. Also, special shout out to our friends at the Geeky Swag Shop who made us these wonderful tees and these gaiters that you saw Justin wearing yesterday. I got mine today. Also, Lords of the Long Box shirts, the t-shirts are back on pre-order now. Before you couldn't, but as of today, you can order a Lords of the Long Box t-shirt. We need to hit a minimum of 24 orders before they ship, just in time for the warm summer months. You get a nice white, blue, or black. I suggest white. It looks great. Otto's rocking one right now. Look at that. Speaking
Look
of
at that,
Swag
buddy.
Shop,
That's it. I love the white one. Geeky Swag Shop. We're rocking it tonight, man.
I got my Geeky Swag Shop shirt on, and these are the gaiters that you can wear. I'm not going to put it on because I could probably suffocate myself, to be honest.
It's really tight. I tried to put mine on, and it's really tight around the head for first.
Right, but breathes very well, as I was saying
it does.
earlier.
It
You know,
does.
Yeah. So there you go, man. So you can get these in blue and black. So just in case for the next few months, you got to wear a face covering. And we're working on a prototype right now. But we're going to work on these. Boom. I could be a grifter. Huh?
Grifter, great character.
Yeah.
Grifter. There you go. So yeah, we're working on these as well. They're a little easier to put on than the gaiters are. So I'm sure motorbikers are like, hey, we do gaiters all the time. What's wrong with you, boy? All right. So this is our man Mikey Sutton was nice enough to lace us up. Well, a long-term spec list that's kind of been long overdue. It's for WandaVision. It's got some interesting things on there. And this is the first of a long-term spec list we're going to have for 3 weeks coming up to July 4th is going to be the next big Mikey Sutton Scoop Jam. And if you haven't heard, San Diego Comic-Con officially announced today the dates for their, I guess, Comic-Con at home. Basically, they're going to do this year all virtual, and it's going to be totally free, and you're going to be able to see everything online, including Hall H from what I'm told. So
We're going to Hall H. Let's go.
So whatever studios want to participate, they can go to Hall H and talk about whatever they want to do. I'm just saying it's next month, San Diego Comic-Con. Get your bandwidth together. You are going to have a ton of people. Because you imagine every year people are like, damn, I wish I was in Hall H. Well, you're going to get your chance now. Let's hopefully they have the bandwidth for it. So this is what I got from my man Mikey Sutton. The following is a Mikey Sutton Disney Plus MCU long-term spec list. This is part 1. Like I said, this is gonna be 3 parts. I'm gonna do it again next Wednesday and the Wednesday after that. Much of this is for WandaVision, but keep in mind this was from pre-production. Some of the characters may have already been announced and leaked, but they remain true to the original. In the case of, when this is a spoiler that we're going to talk about, in the case of Darkhold, it has already initially appeared on Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So I wonder if we're going to talk about it. But this is more high profile with the potential to generate higher interest than before. Also, there are some figures here being reserved for Disney Plus programs that are yet unknown, or yet known, or yet unknown. So basically, a lot of these kind of come together, and they can be in WandaVision, and it looks like some of these could be in Doctor Strange Into the Multiverse of Madness, and then there's some they just may use for something else. So as we get to this list, you'll kind of see what we're talking about here, boys and girls. So if you guys are ready,
wait, before you get started, we got super chat from Chad Crow. He wants you to go ahead and use that $15 to buy a Raiders hat, take a shit on it, and then
shots fired. Raiders and the Chiefs rivalry there.
So yeah, make sure you buy that hat, take a big old steaming dump in it, Tim, and then do whatever you want with it at that point.
So Raiders, is it a Las Vegas Raiders hat? Is it an Oakland Raiders hat? Is it
it's got to be Las Vegas because that's the only team that exists anymore. So,
and in 5 years they'll move somewhere else. Maybe the Bakersfield Raiders.
No, it's going to end up being probably the most profitable team in the NFL. Actually,
And the most scandalous, because you imagine this is how the Raiders are, and imagine living in a city that never sleeps. It's just a recipe for disaster, man. It's
Right. So many guys are going to get in trouble and kicked off that
Oh my
team.
God, forget it. My God, curfews, forget about it.
Yeah.
I will admit though, the stadium looks pretty nice, man.
Oh God, it looks great.
It's freaking huge, right? I mean, because I was thinking, man, imagine playing summer football in Las Vegas, right? They're gonna have to close the roof because, good Lord, I
Yeah.
can't even. They gotta bring tailgaters indoors in the summertime. People are just gonna
Yeah.
be passed out and dehydrated from drinking in the sun. Like, well, it's like Vegas does anyway. When people
Anyway,
come
it's
out of
nothing
town.
different. It's just different
Exactly.
place.
Yeah, people come out of town, they don't know what the hell they're talking about, and they're just drinking all day, and they go, "Yeah, I can handle this drinking by the pool." Oh no, you can't, sir. You gotta drink 2 bottles of water for every 5 drinks you have, or something like that. All right, boys and girls, thank you all for joining us on this fine, beautiful day, and let's get right to it. And with the first one, let me pull up the graphic. The first one on the long-term spec list, boys and girls, is a character that you may be familiar with. So let's get right to it. This is most interesting.
I like what you did there.
Host.
So I'll go ahead and get it started here. So this character is going to be everyone's favorite bovine midwife in the MCU. What we got here is Bova. So for those of you who know who's familiar with any backstory with Wanda, Scarlet Witch, and Quicksilver, and even the High Evolutionary, then you're pretty familiar with Bova. Never been a really huge character. She was created by High Evolutionary. Really is just kind of the midwife and all-around servant for the High Evolutionary out there in Wundagore. So it makes sense that we might end up seeing her tied in with Scarlet Witch. We also know there's been a lot of talk about High Evolutionary showing up here and there. Maybe it's in this show, maybe it's not. Who knows? But Bova is a fun character that kids could like as well, and that will show up and doesn't need a lot of screen time, but kind of fun to have around. And
Anytime you get a talking cow wearing a dress, I'm in.
right.
That's right.
And so
But
a lot of, there's been a lot of retcon and change in the history of both Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, from being originally Magneto's children and mutants to now being outed as created by the High Evolutionary. And then in the MCU, obviously created from the Mind Stone. But we still got Bova lurking around. And like I said, fun little character to see.
Yeah, and what's more exciting about this is the connection, like you said, to the High Evolutionary, which I think is a very interesting,
Great character to
almost
bring in.
Chaotic neutral villain, right? I don't
You know what he's
Right.
like? He's like the Avengers Mr. Sinister, except not as evil.
Exactly. He's just kind of, I'm there. He's down for the science. And this ties into WandaVision because Bova was the midwife that helped give Scarlet Witch give birth to Quicksilver and, who are her kids that she gave birth to?
Speed and Wiccan?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's a interesting backstory on it. She was also part of Mount Wundagore, which is where Mount Wundagore is where the High Evolutionary kind of had his bases.
Correct.
So Bova delivers the twins Pietro and Wanda.
Right.
So she was there when Scarlet Witch was born.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you know how Kevin Feige likes to do things, right? Where he can't directly adapt what's already kind of crazy in the comics. But he likes to say, I got this character and I can kind of use him and put him in and kind of give a nod out. So, it's a cheap book. And plus it's a great book to have too. Giant Size Avengers #1 is the first appearance.
Great
of it.
cover, too.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's classic Avengers. That's the classic team that I always like there with the Cap, Thor, Iron Man, Vision, and Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great giant size collectible. I mean, it's only $144 for a 9.6 near mint. I would say these are hard too because these are the square bound books.
Oh yeah, you're gonna have a ton of spine roll in this.
Yeah, but like Manimal was saying, man, especially with Scarlet Witch, the history of her is very convoluted, changed. With kids, and to the point where she's so powerful, she can create her own things. That's why the WandaVision show, what we know about it so far, is that this is a creation of her mind. She's so powerful that she created this kind of existence because she missed the vision so much. And so they're kind of building on that and tying it over to other comics as well. And that ties in directly to the next characters on our long-term spec list, which are Viv and Vin. I'll do one graphic since it's both characters. Go ahead.
No, so that's it. So now with WandaVision, we have the Visions, right? So what happens when Wanda and Vision get together? They make kids. So Vin is actually the boy from the Earth 616. He was created by Vision, and he's got a really cool backstory. And the cover of this book was the Visions Volume 2, number 1. Just so you know what it is, it's the classic Americana drawn.
Well, this is the Ryan, and it's misspelled. It's the Ryan Sook 1 in 25 variant, which is very hard to find.
Right, it is hard to find. Right, and so what they're doing is, Vin is actually a character who is he's a young teenager. He's powered a lot like Vision, and he's just a character trying to find his way. And actually, in the story, he has a bad experience with the Grim Reaper, the character, and where the Grim Reaper, and this is how we're going to tie into Vivian now, Viv, gets attacked by the Grim Reaper, and Vin goes a little bit mad, and he has a hard time controlling his emotions like any teenager would. Vivian goes into a type of coma, and she has to get pulled out of it. So Vivian's a little bit more complicated of the characters, but their powers are still the same, except Viv has the ability to almost camouflage herself. It's like a cloak where she can portray different versions of herself, which is pretty neat. And that's the only thing about her powers, but they both have superhuman strength, the intangibility, they both have flight. And what's worse than one Vision? 2 kids that can't control their own power. So very unique characters. And I love to see the way they portray this.
Well, Viv has kind of gotten more legs as a character than Vin has. She eventually becomes part of the champions and kind of, makes her own way. And this is what we were saying about how it's bits and pieces of a little bit of everything. They want to use Viv and Vin, but I'm assuming they're not going to use Virginia, because the Vision basically created his own family because he wanted to see what it was about, right? So he created Virginia, which was his wife, and then created Viv and Vin. So then we have Scarlet Witch, who has the same ability. So in her mind's eye, when she creates this kind of fake family or world for herself, and we're going to see in WandaVision, which appears to be a romantic comedy, right, or a sketch comedy, that Viv and Vin are the product of her and Vision having children, and maybe she sees them at these half android kids. It'd be interesting to see how it goes. But Viv here's kind of my prediction, man. Honestly, I kind of think what you might see is her, obviously, her mind cracking a little bit, and so first time she'll make this reality with both her and Vision having kids, and they're androids, Viv and Vin. And then I think you're going to see another set of kids where they're more humanoid, but they're her version, and it's going to be Wiccan and Speed. So you're going to get 2 sets of kids from both of them, but she's seeing both different realities. Like, do their kids come out like androids, or do they come out more like humans, like her and her family? And I think you're going to see both of them. And like you said, they have legs. Like Viv has legs, and so does Speed and Wiccan. I mean, you're talking Young Avengers, they're going to show up. Right. Yeah, so remember what I was saying, like how this one, because of the shutdown of Hollywood and everything, so everything kind of got pushed to the side. So these can be very well changed, and they will appear. So we don't try to get focused too much on where and when. Just know that they are being reserved for you. So I can see, remember, Scarlet Witch has a prominent role in Doctor Strange Into the Multiverse of the Madness. So you can, she either has kids here, and then later on she does the whole create my own children and has the human kids that she did with Speed and Wiccan from multiple timelines. But essentially, Scarlet Witch in the comics is incredibly powerful. She can create her own reality and that's what kind of drove her insane, right? She wanted to have kids, and it's a very kind of
all linked to Mephisto as well.
Yeah, it's a very trippy read on kind of like a psychological standpoint, how she just lost it. To the one point where she just says, no more mutants.
No more mutants.
Well, don't forget, she's behind Avengers Disassembled as well.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah, she's Feige's been teasing about, how you don't realize how powerful Scarlet Witch is, and people kind of laugh. We saw a little bit how she was taking down Thanos, and then, people who just watch the movies go, no way she could take on Thanos. But in the comics, you realize, good Lord, she is incredibly powerful. Her, what do you call it?
Chaos
Hex magic is what her chaos. Well, remember back in the day, it was just called her, when she was with the Avengers, it was called Hex magic or something.
Yeah, Hex magic.
Yeah. And then they changed it. So, all right, boys and girls. So Viv and Vin, the children of poor Virginia, doesn't get any love, man. At least not yet, man. All right, next up on the long-term spec list for Vision and perhaps other things is probably the least surprising one on the list, because this one has been teased quite a bit. There's been set photos for it, but we can finally say it's time for some Agatha Harkness.
Jeez, Agatha Harkness. Who would have thought? Look at this. So Agatha Harkness is a character that dawns for 500 years before Atlantis sank to the bottom of the ocean, right? She's been around for a long, long time. She was considered a witch. She was one of the original witches of New Salem. And she really, here we're getting into more sorcery, which I think is really, really neat. It's a great story. So she was actually contacted by the Fantastic Four contacted her when Franklin Richards was first born to kind of help out. And in Fantastic Four in 94, they get attacked by the Frightful Four, and Agatha Harkness alone defeats all those B-listers from the Frightful Four to protect Franklin Richards. So here again, you have children involved, you have mystical arts, and you have just another wrap up of this. So Agatha Harkness, FF94. If you're not looking for it, some people are, because 9.8s are, last sold 880, and they're up there. So go after that book.
These people have been getting this book for a while now, because it's been widely speculated and pretty much confirmed at this point that Catherine Hahn is going to be playing her. There's been set photos that leaked of her basically dressed up like a witch with some other people in the coven, and I think her name on the show is short for Agatha, along those lines. So probably probably the worst kept secret ever. But what's an also cool thing about this book is the double spec. This is the first time they actually named their son Franklin Benjamin Richards. Before
Correct.
that, he wasn't named yet. So, I rarely see anybody ever post about this book. So, Agatha Harkness coming in WandaVision could be a cool thing to get, but 9.0 is probably your sweet spot. You get one for last one sold for like 130, 9.2s, but it jumps considerably from a 9.6 to a 9.8 when an average sale of 256 up to an average sale of 880. So there you go. Like I said, I'm glad that these Fantastic Four books, 1 through 100, are finally getting some love, because there's a ton of really cool first appearances in these books, man. So Fantastic Four 94, the first appearance of Agatha Harkness, and the first time they named little baby Richards Franklin Benjamin Richards. All right, next up on the list is not a person, but a thing.
And not the thing.
That's deep, correct, Mundo.
But we talked about this earlier. Tim mentioned it when he was breaking down this spec list. We've got the Darkhold. Before I get into the Darkhold, obviously this is a great book to have. Marvel Spotlight number 4.
Freaking awesome.
Early stuff here. This is the old school stuff. Actually, the issue right before Ghost Rider. So great issue. The Darkhold we saw a lot in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. showed up. There's really not a lot to say. The Darkhold, the best description of it is it's basically the Necronomicon. Okay, so it's just kind of like a source of all spell books. It's linked to Evil and another character that Otto's going to talk about up here next. But it's really just this powerful book that can be used by any sorcerer for different kinds of spells. So if you're doing magic and you're doing this kind of arena here in the MCU, it's a great thing to have. Whether or not it's going to be the same Darkhold we saw in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or if it's going to be something new or a new version of it, it'd be fine. Honestly, it's something you can retcon, because it seems like in the comics, there's always different versions of it. So it wouldn't be strange to see a more magical take to it rather than what we saw in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Did you say that on purpose? Did you say it wouldn't be strange?
No, I didn't.
Doctor Strange? Doctor Strange in the Darkhold, that's like peanut butter and chocolate. They go,
Right.
you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I mean, yeah, the Darkhold was on a trippy season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but and anybody who reads Doctor Strange, he's just got a chest of things that he uses. Spell books, artifacts, the Eye of Agamotto, spheres, and all these. And him and the Darkhold work perfectly together.
Yeah, it makes sense that maybe he
maybe
ended up with it.
Exactly. Yeah.
S.H.I.E.L.D.
And I'm trying to remember. I think they referenced it in the first Doctor Strange film.
I was trying to remember where what happened to it at the end of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I think Ghost Rider destroyed it, to be honest with you. But
yeah.
Maybe it makes up. It ends up in, Strange's armory,
Sanctum
if
Sanctorum,
you will.
In the Sanctum Sanctorum. The more powerful he gets, the more artifacts he has, use and spell books. And put it this way: we have yet to see him be really the Sorcerer Supreme, right? So far, we haven't. He has. I don't know if he's gained the mantle yet, but pretty soon, I would think, we're gonna get that. They're planning big things. We just saw a little tip of the iceberg. We know Marvel wants to go full on magic. Like we keep on, just buy any and everything supernatural in the Marvel universe. There's a ton of them. And the first appearance of the Eye of Agamotto, the first appearance of the Cloak of Levitation, first appearance of the Darkhold. So there you go. So Marvel Spotlight number 4 is the first appearance of the Darkhold. great book. I mean, the Marvel Spotlight run itself is incredible. I mean, 1 through 4, and then 5, Marvel Spotlight 5 is the first appearance of Ghost Rider. Marvel Spotlight number 1 is the first appearance of Werewolf by Night. So some great books, man. So this one, look how cheap that is. $273 for a 9.6, man. That's awesome. Anytime I find horror books, Tomb of Dracula, Werewolf by Night, Mummy, whatever, I buy them, because they're just cool books to have. So there you go, boys and girls. On to the next one. As we were just talking about, the next one, Otto gets to pronounce the hard words.
Oh, that's it. So here we go. We're going to go with Scython.
Chthon, maybe?
Chthon, Scython, whatever. Whoever.
Stop while you're ahead.
I know, I'm done with it. But anyway, so Marvel Chillers number 1, you really like this stuff. So Scython or Chthon, however you want to say it, was an elder god. He's been around since the dawn of time. He is, your demon-like character. And here we go again, more into the mystic stuff, the dark stuff. But he's considered the other in this book. And then he doesn't get a name until Avengers 186, where he actually possesses.
Quixotic Comics says it's Chthon or Chthon.
See, but I thought that would be too much like Cthulhu. Like Chthon,
I think it's basically Marvel's version of
Cthulhu. Okay,
yeah,
so Chthon. All right, there you go. Thank you very much for letting us know that. You never know what you're going to find out. But so in this story, in 186, Chthon, or what do we call him? Whatever,
Chthon,
doesn't matter. Chthon, right? Possesses Wanda, Scarlet Witch. And this is a John Byrne story. So if you pay close attention to this, a possessed Wanda looks a lot like a possessed Dark Phoenix. I'm just saying, take a look at it. It's pretty similar. But again, dark arts, mystic stuff, dawn of time, bad guy. I don't know what else to say about this guy.
The Marvel universe is not lacking of mystical, supernatural villains. That's the good, so there's tons of it. And so this one, you can get the first time he's actually named in Avengers 186, but why get that? Get the first appearance of him called The Other, which is a much cooler book, which is Marvel Chillers number 1, featuring another first appearance of Mordred the Mystic. So there you go. Yep. So just in case you accidentally slide into something else and you get Mordred the Mystic may pop up one
2 for 1 there.
Right.
There you go.
I do want to note that, Chthon, there is a direct correlation between it and High Evolutionary again. So, we might be talking about all these characters, but there's an underlying tone that High Evolutionary has a lot to do with these characters.
I picked up my Evolutionary last year and I got it graded as a 9.4. I bought it raw near mint for $200.
Oh my God.
Because I figured, look, I meant Kang, High Evolutionary, there's only a handful of really powerful villains left that, they can choose.
Avengers, sure.
Dr. Doom, some other guys, but, those are some of the biggies that eventually Kevin Feige is a comic book purist, so he's going to bring them back. And there's also been that rumor about Rocket, Raccoon or Rocket, whatever, and his origin story is based on what we were just talking about.
Evolutionary.
And it makes sense because if you think about all the animal men, what were they called? There was like
the new men. The new men
were like these animals that basically had human speech and brains and like normal people, but they were full on animals like Nova. That sounds like freaking Rocket to me. So supposedly, now we're not saying this is true, but some of the spec out there has been that High Evolutionary is going to be in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So they're just leaving it out there, just like Kang. Go out and get that. So next on our list is Chthon. The first appearance of The Other is in Marvel Chillers number 1. First appearance of Chthon is in Avengers Volume 1, number 186. But that's not a fun book like Mordred the Mystic is. Come on, that's and like Manuel like said, Mordred the Mystic has got wacky abilities, man. He's got wacky abilities.
He's a wacky son bitch.
All right, next up is a very interesting thing, not a person per se, but it kind of fits into this whole thing about multiverses and everything. What do we got?
So this next one, it ties more into like Tim said, the multiverse of madness stuff, but also kind of tying into some of the other things that we've mentioned before, like the Agents of S.W.O.R.D. and the arrival of mutants into the MCU. So we're going to be talking about ghost boxes here. So once again, an item, not necessarily a character. And basically, in a nutshell, a ghost box is going to be somewhat like a mother box. It's basically something that was created to jump transdimensional into different multiverse or different dimensions.
Yeah.
It ties in a lot with S.W.O.R.D. initially. Eventually, Forge starts making some, and it all shows up in the Astonishing X-Men by Joss Whedon run very early on. So whether it's really going to be around for much or what it's going to be used for, we don't know. But it's a really easy way to go from one universe to another. So
makes sense.
Like I said, Mother Box, Ghost Box, pretty much the same damn thing, just not as powerful as a Mother Box.
And this book is super cheap. I didn't even put price on it. I think the last one sold for like $2. But I mean, I just wanted to put this book up there because I love this cover. Simone Bianchi. This cover kicks ass. So this is Astonishing X-Men, Volume 3, number 26. This one's written by Warren Ellis. The first series, I believe, was written by Joss Whedon.
Up to like issue 20 something. But here's the other thing why you got this cover up. This is something that's good to talk about. You know, a lot of people have been asking, what mutant's going to show up first? Where can they show up? Beast is actually a perfect character to show up outside of X-Men in Sword. He's a main member of Sword and a love interest to Abigail Brand for a very long time. So
good point.
This would be really awesome to show Beast just show up in Agents of Sword or something like that would be great. Be really cool.
And he was of Avengers. I mean, Beast has been everywhere. He's kind of been everywhere. He's been like the nice guy that said, you know what, I'll help you. You know what I mean? I'll be an Avenger. I'll be in an X-Men. So it's kind of interesting when Avengers versus X-Men happened, and he had to like choose sides to figure out which side he was going to be on. But
Avengers versus Inhumans, he's on the Inhuman side.
That's right. Yeah, because he's always science first. He wants to figure out, and he was trying to help the Inhumans figure out what was. The Terrigen mist was killing him, right? Or something. I'm trying to remember what it was.
No, there was 2 Terrigen storms, and it was reactivating everyone, but it was killing mutants. Yeah.
Exactly. So what's interesting is the last few spec lists we've done, been a ton pulling from the Astonishing X-Men.
Armor, Abigail Brand, Ghost.
I had to go back and reread. I didn't know there was so much Sword stuff in an X-Men title, which is, kind of.
Yeah, that's where it originated.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's why, go get those. I like that Colossus and Kitty Pryde cover. That one's
good cover. And that Wolverine cover too is great too. The one,
the yellow one, right? Yeah.
Yellow one. That's a great cover too.
I got to go to Comic Tunes and Toys and start digging in some of those Astonishing X-Men boxes that people have been neglecting for a while. All right. Next up on the list is probably the one that sticks out like a sore green thumb, more so than the rest of the characters on this list. What is he?
So we got Amadeus Cho. Now, I know most people think of Amadeus Cho and they think the totally awesome Hulk or the Hulk in general. But you have to keep in mind, Amadeus Cho has been a sidekick to almost every single character in the MCU.
He's the Asian Rick Jones.
He starts off, he's very much a Rick Jones. Like, he starts off kind of being the 7th most intelligent person in the MCU, Mastermind Excello, but he has a lot of tie-ins with another character that's been spec'd on a lot, Hercules. He teams up with Hercules during Chaos War and a lot of different storylines, the God War. He actually becomes the Prince of Power at one point, way before the Hulk. He's around for 10 years before he actually becomes the totally awesome Hulk.
Totally Awesome Hulk #1 is when he really becomes the Hulk, right? I mean, before that, he was just kind of floating around being the 7th smartest guy in the 616.
Yeah, he very much was the sidekick for Marvel in the 2000s. I mean, he showed up everywhere and just tagged along. But you know what? Pretty cool character. I'm not crazy about these newer characters. If you probably heard me talk a lot about him, but Amadeus Cho is one that's kind of cool, man. He does a lot of things. He's got a lot of personality and he has a lot of depth to him. So
yeah, he's smart and he's strong now since he's the Hulk. But he's always been like the wonder kid, smart. I always figured out. I was trying always when I read this and I was reading comics, and he came out as the 7th smartest guy in the 616, and I was like, well, who were the other 6? Because I don't think they've ever actually mentioned it. But I was guessing like, all right, Reed Richards, maybe T'Challa, maybe Blue Marvel. And then I was like, who can be the I'm like, where is there?
Number 6 is actually going to be the guy who is like his first villain, Pythagoras.
Oh my God.
Pythagoras Dupree is number 6. So
check out the big brain on bad. If you got Pythagoras on your list, drink. Good Lord, man.
Right. Who saw that one coming?
And regardless, this is a cool book, man. This is Amazing Fantasy 15. I mean, this is not volume 1, but it's still a cool book because they kind of just did an anniversary of it. It's got the homage to Amazing Fantasy 15, the original with Spider-Man on it. It had the first appearances, multiple stories in it. What's interesting is an ode to Jack Kirby. Is Amadeus Cho's pet. His name is Kirby, which is pretty cool. So, this is kind of way the
Coyote. Kirby the Coyote.
Kirby the Coyote.
Kirby,
that's great.
So in this world of comics, there's no coincidences. That's got to be a name for Jack Kirby. So
of course.
then this book has been hot for a minute, man. It's kind of hard to find in the wild. I mean, if you
I've never seen it.
Yeah, I mean, recorded sales range 200 to 600, averages about $311. You know, you can get a 9.6 right in the 180 range. I tell you what, as soon as Amadeus Cho makes his first appearance in the MCU, his book's going to blow up. And also, right now, he's a part of New Agents of Atlas, and he was also part of the Champions. So they're taking Amadeus Cho because, you know, he hits all the check boxes, like Mikey Sutton likes to say. He's Asian, he's young, and then, you know, something for the kids, like cross promoted so they can, you know, he's a Korean character. So, you know, it's all those little things that Marvel likes to do with diversity. But plus, he's a cool character, and he's a Hulk, as we can find out with Yellow Hulk. Anything Hulk related is going to blow up. So as soon as you see red Amadeus Cho Hulk, that's going to blow up as well, because anytime a Hulk changes their color, it just blows up. That's what I'm thinking. All right. So last one on the list is one of my favorites, and something we've been talking about here for a long time as an obvious Spec man, and she's been bouncing around all over the place, but she's coming in WandaVision or into the Multiverse of Madness. She will come, though. I guarantee it. It's the next logical choice.
That's right. CLEA is going to make her appearance, as she did in Strange Tales number 126, drawn by the great Jack Kirby, Stan Lee. You know, Mystic Arts, again, is what we're talking about. We've got the love interest of Doctor Strange. You've got Dormammu involved in this whole thing. So, you know, this is just, again, where we're talking about Mystic Arts and the powers and the abilities of all the different sorcerers and how this is going to come into play. And just, she's going to show up eventually. And, you know, if you don't have this book, you should, you know, I shouldn't say Jack Kirby. I apologize. I'm a Ditko purist, and I forgot that this is a Ditko book with Doctor Strange. So please find this book. And as you can
Kirby
see,
may have written the first part, because this is still when he was sharing the title with the Human Torch of all things.
Good point. Right. Good point. You know, I don't see any 9.8s up here. You know, an 8.5 would probably be where I'd be interested in this book at. I think I have this book raw. Actually, I know I have this book raw. I'm sure you do, Tim.
I have 3 copies. I have 2 graded and one raw, but nothing even close to a 9. This book is incredibly hard to find anything high grade. And why CLEA is important to the Doctor Strange mythos is because she is a daughter of the Dark Dimension. Her mother is Umar, and that makes her uncle Dormammu. So basically, she kind of turns on Dormammu when he takes over and becomes Lord of the Dark Dimension, and she befriends Stephen Strange, eventually falls in love with her, and eventually dies. I think she's been resurrected a lot. I think she's alive again.
Oh yeah, it's Marvel.
So, yes, but she's kind of been the longest love interest of Doctor Strange for a really long time, and a powerful user in her own. I mean, she helps Doctor Strange fight the mindless ones for quite a while. There's a funny joke. I was just reading a current issue of Doctor Strange where somebody asked Doctor Strange, he goes, it's this little it was in Doctor Strange's Surgeon Supreme, and he has like a little assistant. He allows him to ask him one cape question a day. So he asks him, if they're called the mindless ones, how does he control their minds? Right?
Okay.
So it's just funny. So if you haven't read Surgeon Supreme, it's basically Doctor Strange got the use of his hands back, so he's back to doing surgery, which is kind of cool. And then, you know, but he can. There's always this interesting dynamic of, all right, you know, what can you do with magic and what can you do with science? And they kind of break it down in the comics where he can't cure cancer because of disease, but he can use magic to do other things, right? And even at one point in the last 2 runs of Doctor Strange, they've really kind of harnessed in on the fact that with using magic, there's a price to pay. Every time you take something, you need to give something, right? And there's this whole thing where the world runs out of magic because Doctor Strange is abusing it. And this is a common recurring theme within Doctor Strange throughout the years, to one point where he loses the mantle of Sorcerer Supreme because he used dark magic. And I think at that point it was given to, goes back to our other
Voodoo, right?
Sorcerer Supreme, because Doctor Strange used dark magic to help defeat somebody. And that kind of goes, if you remember Doctor Strange number 1, what did Mordo have a problem with the Ancient One? Because he was so chaotic good that he couldn't fathom the fact that the Ancient One used dark magic And she tries to tell him, the world is gray. It's not black and white. So you already see the seeds of that being sown, that, there's a price to pay. Everything's not totally good or evil. Sometimes you have to be in the gray area in between. So, and that's why I love Doctor Strange. And that's why you should get Strange Tales number 126, the first appearance of CLEA, probably the easiest book to spec on. Let me, I'll go back, put us back on camera. You guys see our lovely mugs here.
I do want to correct myself on this. The Kirby did the cover, which is neat because Kirby didn't often do Strange. But then when you got to the Dread of Dormammu, it was Ditko that did it. So just right the wrong ship.
And so what we always talk about, you guys hear spec this, spec that. So essentially there is a method to the madness. If you really want to start getting books before they, know a character and know all the ancillary characters from within that character's books and history, and just start buying them, because if the MCU is going to make a character and make multiple films on them, you can guarantee they're going to be made. I mean, the Brother Voodoo one was pretty easy because his brother got killed in Doctor Strange #1, spoiler alert. But like CLEA, that's kind of, that's a given. People thinking Nightmare's not going to be the villain of Doctor Strange Into the Multiverse of Madness. If you haven't heard, there's quite a bit going on in that film. What I can tell you, what we know is Into the Multiverse of Madness, and then they're going to be doing Triumph and Torment, which is the Doctor Strange, Doctor Doom graphic novel, which is an incredible read if you've never read it. Basically, Doctor Strange helps Doctor Doom take back the soul of his mother, which Mephisto has in hell, which is a fantastic read. There's no real spec book on it because it's a graphic novel. It's trade paperback, and I have the hardcover. So, but I would say read it because it's a great story, and that's what I'm hearing they want to do with perhaps maybe the third film. Obviously, Doctor Doom will be introduced. A good way to get the two doctors together, right? Doctor Doom, Doctor Strange.
Doctor.
I concur. All right, so that's it, boys and girls. That is the long-term spec list. Remember, this may or may some of these characters for WandaVision, some of these characters for Into the Multiverse of Madness, and there's some characters that. If I read this from our notes from Mikey Sutton, is also there are some characters being reserved for other Disney programs that are yet to be known. So there you go. So some of these may not even be on the first two we're talking about. And the one that jumps off immediately is Amadeus Cho. It doesn't kind of fit in this these whole characters. Boba fits in, Boba fits Scarlet Witch, Vin and Vin fit Vision. We know Vision's going to be in there. We know Scarlet Witch is going to be Into the Multiverse of Madness. Some of the sorcerers, the Darkhold, the Chthon, all that stuff matches. Amadeus Cho, though, just seems a little bit odd. Why somebody would say, hey, let's reserve this character, and as things go on. So it'll be interesting, man. I can't wait for San Diego Comic-Con. I can't believe I just said that. I can't wait for San Diego Comic-Con on
after for so long saying it's not happening, and now we're going to get some version of it.
I really hope they can pull it together, because like we were talking about in our private chat, that I was like, man, they just announced it today. I mean, they announced it a few months ago, but they didn't give any dates. They were just like, yeah, we're going to plan something in the future. But now they're saying it's the exact same date that San Diego Comic-Con was going to be on. They're getting all the studios and all the people that do panels. Collider is doing 2 panels. They already announced that. They haven't said whom. They just said it's a big surprise. So this could be huge, man. So
way better to watch on YouTube than to be waiting in line to get in.
Oh, good Lord. It's like you have to wait in line like overnight, sometimes 2 nights for Hall H. Yeah.
With smelly freaks the whole time.
And you've been to San Diego like I have, right? Yeah, Animal. It's a sea of humanity.
Yeah, it's disgusting. It's where COVID originated, probably.
And you ever seen there is literally no room to walk, and they give you these giant, I don't know what they call, backpack swag bags or whatever.
Yeah, it's the worst, dude.
And they're the worst because somebody turns around, they smack you in the head. I mean,
it's filled with like
I don't even wear one because I'm tall and I don't want to hit short people's heads. So I don't know, me and Manimal, we don't have that problem. I don't know if you have that problem with tall people bumping into you and smacking.
No.
Right. That was the birthday dig to you, man. So,
yeah, that's it. I mean, I'm a little shorter now that I'm a little older. It happens.
Is that how that works? You get older and you lose
everything gets a little,
All right, boys and girls. So that is it. Any last words, Otto?
Yes, I've got a lot of last words that I usually do. Thank you, everybody who reached out to wish me a happy birthday, whether on Instagram, Facebook, or any other direct messages. I really appreciate it, you guys. Just a great time to be part of this community. 3 Men in the Basement is doing a special tomorrow night. We are going live at 8 o'clock Eastern. I've got 2 CGC boxes. I've got a Boxed Heroes mystery box. I believe Roger Levesque has one also, and Dave in a Cave might have some stuff to unveil too. He's got some good mail calls. I've got some other stuff. So we are going live tomorrow night. Hope everybody can join us. And it was great to see everybody tonight. Thank you very much. I had a lot of fun with this show tonight. So thank you.
Manimal, any last words?
No, just another happy birthday to Otto the Old there. Glad I got to see him partying all weekend, which was funny.
Yeah.
Nice. But no, just like talking comics. So we'll see you guys again sometime soon.
That's right. I have about 70 new comics I haven't shown yet that I would just realize I had bagged and board today. So you know what? I think I'm due for a comic haul video. I haven't done one of those in a while. So also tomorrow is going to be the second episode of Letters from the Long Box, where we answer your mailbox questions that you leave on the Lord's video from last week. So if you haven't peeped it out, go check out the video, Letters of the Long Box, episode 1. Actually, we've already done the questions, so I just got to read them tomorrow. It won't be live. I'll probably pre-record it and pop it on around 3 or 4 o'clock. It'll be about good 15 to 20 minutes. And what's interesting about this one is my friend Mikey Sutton answered all your MCU and DCU questions, and there are some rather large scoops in there. So it's not just, oh, this, that, and the other. It's literally, you can get some scoops in there. So I already have the questions and answers, so I know. And tomorrow, you'll know. So I'll figure it out probably around 3 or 4 p.m., depending on how much my job bugs me to do some work. And so we'll go from there. Till next time, boys and girls, happy new comic book day, and keep digging in them long boxes. Peace out.
Shake and bake and pull it back.
Oh my God.
Justice League, there are assembled the world's 3 greatest heroes, created from the cosmic legends of the universe. Their mission, to fight injustice, to right that which is wrong, and to serve all mankind.
Now that's a name I've not heard.
Laugh it up, fuzzball.
In this, you shall know that the Lord is update.
Shake and bake and pull it back.
In this, you shall know that the Lord is update. In this, you shall know that the Lord is update.
Go on and get some, boys. What the heck is the deal? I'm the best there is.
In this, you shall know that the Lord is update.
What's in the box?
Like a